Coming up, the 2024 SOAR Summit is underway in downtown Pikeville.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. With discussions ranging from artificial intelligence to broadband and beyond, the Shaping Our Appalachian Region, or SOAR Summit, is back on the calendar. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has a look at day one and what to expect later this week in Pikeville.
From healthy communities to workforce development, the SOAR Summit is bringing a variety of voices to the city of Pikeville.
We're hitting on all different segments here. There's a lot of things happening. This is a Herculean effort. This is Appalachia's premier event.
The 2024 Summit kicked off Wednesday, with the annual event broken up between the Appalachian Wireless Arena, the University of Pikeville, and a few stops in between, hosting breakout sessions, workshops, guest speakers, and more.
And that's really the beauty of this, is that you can bounce around and you can learn about things you're passionate about, but you can also explore about things that maybe you're just curious about.
Organizers say the event, which spans through Friday night, is all about celebrating the region and highlighting the dedicated ideas and innovation of those who call it home.
But it's what we do the 360 plus days after the summit that brings us back to this moment in time every year where we can celebrate, collaborate, and kind of look at one another and say there's still more work to do. And the only way we're going to do it is to do it together.
Soaring toward a summit to remember. In Pikeville, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Tomorrow's session kicks off bright and early at 8 a.m. Breakout programming and the exhibit hall open up at 10. Several guest speakers, including Governor Andy Beshear and Congressman Hal Rogers, are expected to be part of the final day on Friday.
All right, freeze warning goes into effect in about 59 minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the map right now. You can see the majority of the WYMT viewing area will go under a freeze warning at midnight, and that will last until 10 o'clock in the morning. And there's a look outside in Wayne County, Kentucky. You can see we have a mixture of sun and clouds out there. Temperatures right now are in the 40s, even upper 30s. 38 in Monticello, 37 Wise, otherwise 47 in Jackson, 43 is the current temperature in Hazard, 41 Williamsburg, Monticello, like I said, at 38, 10 warmer in Somerset. Over the next several hours, we'll see temperatures staying in the low to mid 30s till we get to about the 6, 7 o'clock time frame. Some places will see temperatures in the upper 20s. Look at Jackson, 29, 29 Irvin, 29 Moorhead, 29 will be the temperature in Somerset. And then we go into the afternoon hours. We clear out and then we start to warm up with temperatures in the low 50s. We'll make a run for the upper 50s as we go throughout the afternoon hours, and then the warming trend continues as we go throughout the weekend. The question is, how warm will we go after this? Details on the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. A former employee at a Kentucky Juvenile Detention Center was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for breaking a 15-year-old boy's arm. 33-year-old Nathaniel Lumpkins pleaded guilty to violating the teen's constitutional rights to be free from excessive force during an incident in 2019 at the Woods Bend Youth Development Center in Morgan County. Officials say while staff were trying to calm the boy, Lumpkins forcefully restrained him, breaking 2 bones in his arm. After the incident, Lumpkins was fired and later submitted a false report claiming the teen had threatened staff. Lawmakers are trying to address school safety and the increased costs to fund it. The director for Kentucky's Center for School Safety testified about the spending today in Frankfort. It follows some recent high-profile threats. Incidents at Montgomery County schools caused the district to close schools and ban backpacks for a time. In the weeks since, the law enforcement director says they have had time to address their safety initiatives.
I couldn't speak to motive or intent, but what I can tell you is that it happened. And that because it happened, it's a really important time for us to take again, shift maybe from some of the other priorities that we have as a school district.
Lawmakers say next year's school safety funding will increase by $18 million. The Kentucky class of 2024 tested among the best in the nation on the ACT college admissions exam. Of the 9 states that test 100% of graduating students, Kentucky ranked 3rd, behind only Wyoming and Tennessee. Kentucky students' strongest subject was reading with an average score of 19.2 out of 36. Their weakest subject was a tie between English and math, both with an average score of 18. The average composite score in the state was 18.6. About 51,000 students took the ACT. Educators have differing opinions on an amendment potentially allowing the General Assembly to fund educational institutions outside of public schools. Perry County educator Tiffany Combs says she is not in favor of Amendment 2 because it could lead to funding cuts for public schools. Combs says they could do more for kids if the funding stays the same.
You know, we provide them with so many different services. They come to us not just for an education, but we meet all the needs of all students. You know, we don't turn students away.
The funding could benefit private and non-public schools like Redbird Christian School. Redbird administrators say they have seen a financial decline since the COVID-19 pandemic. In Pennsylvania, Vice President Kamala Harris launched a new push to win the support of Republicans. Former President Donald Trump is working to woo the Hispanic vote with an appearance on Spanish language network television. CBS's Christian Benavidez reports from Miami.
Joined by Republican supporters in battleground Pennsylvania, Vice President Kamala Harris said if elected, she would work to build unity.
And on the other hand, the choice of someone who I think we can guarantee will sit in the Oval Office plotting retribution.
On Wednesday, Harris sat for an interview with Fox News, which began with the contentious issue of border security.
And from day one then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings.
On Spanish language TV network Univision, former President Donald Trump fielded questions from Florida voters, including a college student asking about his plans to create new jobs.
We are going to bring companies in through a system of taxes, positive, we call it positive taxation. We are going to bring companies in at a level that you've never seen in this country before.
As he seeks to return to the White House, Trump has called for the mass deportation of people who are in the U.S. illegally.
We want workers, and we want them to come in, but they have to come in legally. They have to love our country.
Trump still trails Harris with Hispanic voters, but polls show her lead over him with that constituency is much closer than the percentage of votes President Joe Biden received in 2020. Christian Benavidez, CBS News, Miami.
Meanwhile, Vice Presidential candidate J.D. Vance rallied voters in Pennsylvania today, addressing topics including immigration, border security, and the economy. WYMT senior national correspondent Peter Zampa got to ask him about his previous answers on who won the 2020 election and how the Trump-Vance ticket would handle the results in 2024.
What message do you think it sends to independent voters when you do not directly answer the question, did Donald Trump lose in 2020?
First of all, on the election of 2020, I've answered this question directly a million times. No. I think there are serious problems in 2020. So did Donald Trump lose the election? Not by the words that I would use, okay? So look, we could, but look, I really couldn't care less if you agree or disagree with me on this issue. I've been asked very, very few questions about why Pennsylvanians can't afford food and can't afford housing. And here's the simple reality is we can agree to disagree on a whole host of issues, but our message to Pennsylvania independents, to Pennsylvania Republicans, and to Pennsylvania Democrats is very simple. If you want a secure southern border and you want to be able to afford the American dream again, Donald Trump and I have a plan for you, and we will fight for you, and that's our message to voters down the stretch.
Well, following this event, Vance continuing to barnstorm these crucial battleground states, holding a rally Wednesday night in North Carolina, then heading right back here to Pennsylvania on Thursday. Reporting in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, I'm Peter Zampa.
Now, at another rally later in Wilmington, North Carolina, Vance was asked again about the 2020 election. His answer was more direct.
I think that big tech rigged the election in 2020. That's my view. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. I have given this answer to this question for literally years. And the American media wants to focus on what happened 4 years ago than the fact that North Carolinians can't afford groceries. I think that's a disgrace. Do your job and focus on the problems the American people care about rather than bullshit from 4 years ago.
Vance told the audience that Vice President Harris is incompetent and that her response to the recent hurricanes is proof of that. Kentucky is set to fast-track the completion of the last section of the Mountain Parkway expansion project. Governor Beshear announced the infrastructure project is moving forward with the help of a $116.3 million federal grant. The funds will be used to complete the last 13 miles of construction connecting Salyersville to Prestonsburg. The expansion project aims to create a 4-lane highway that stretches across the state. Officials with the Transportation Cabinet announced the Breathitt County Fiscal Court has been awarded more than $18,700 in county road emergency road aid funds. The funding will be used to repair a slide on Cockrell Fork Road. That slide is located near the intersection of Cockrell Fork Road and Spruce Pine Fork Road. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, with more frosty temperatures in the forecast, you may want to protect your plants. What you can do to keep those plants healthy.
And after the freeze warning goes into effect and expires, a warming trend will be in play. Details in a few minutes.